Okay, welcome back. So this is video 6, and in this video, we're going to spend some time assessing the health of different areas of your relationship. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, this is probably going to be one of the more intense videos. When you talk about cleaning the closet, this video is the point where there is clothing everywhere and you may feel really overwhelmed. I wish I could make it so that there wasn't an intense, uncomfortable part of the video series, but that's kind of the reality of working through strengthening our relationships. What we're going to do in this series is I'm going to walk you through 9 different areas, and what I want you to do is I want you in each area to lay out 3 things that are going really well and 3 things that aren't. And I want those 3 things on both sides on purpose, right? So the purpose of this video is not to air your grievances and list out, like literally list out on a worksheet everything that your partner's doing wrong. That's not going to be helpful. I do want you to take an honest look though at what is going well and what isn't, and then work together as a team and as partners to figure out how to strengthen these different areas. So in the last 3 videos of the series, we're going to talk very specifically about making a plan. Right now, we're kind of laying out all the different things that we could work on. That can be uncomfortable. As we walk through these topics, you might be peeking ahead at the worksheet. Some of these topics are super uncomfortable. They may be the kind of thing that you fight about frequently. That you're not alone. A lot of these topics are tricky for other couples. Some of these topics are the ones that the majority of couples go to therapy for. So if it's uncomfortable, that's okay. But my request of you is that you lean in and you work through it. With that being said, if these are topics that you have fought about a lot and you find yourself kind of going to your separate corners and not being able to come together and kind of find a place of partnership or working together, again, I'm going to hold out that it may be helpful to start working with a couples therapist. Again, I know oftentimes we don't want to do that, but a good therapist will help you come together on these harder topics, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk through each of them and explain them. I want you to spend some time, maybe privately on your own, listing out your 3 goods and your 3 bads about each. That may be something that's better to do separately and come together. Additionally, you may not want to do all 9 topics in the same conversation, right? That could be a very long, very intense conversation. If you need to split it out, that's totally fine. My request would be you don't split it out over so much time that this just becomes one long fight that has a worksheet in the middle. Okay, so we want to get to the point where we are talking about how to strengthen and improve. Kind of finding that balance between investing and having the conversations, not running away from them, but then not just staying stuck in the conversations. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is physical wellness. So before we can really get into a lot of stuff, we have to be honest about whether or not we're healthy. If we're dehydrated and exhausted, it's hard to have bigger conversations about other stuff. So how are you doing when it comes to your physical health and wellness? Are you getting enough water? Are you eating healthy food? Are you getting enough sleep? Sleep can be a huge disruption within guardian work. It can be really, really hard to keep yourself well rested, which can have an impact on all other areas of your relationship. So again, this is not a moment to point out the flaws or failures of your partner or your spouse. This is a chance to just honestly assess how it's going. I also want you to be kind, right? So if one of you is struggling with things like exercise and eating well, if that's an area of struggle, maybe you're struggling with your body image or your weight, this is a time to be kind and work as a team, please. It is important to talk about these things, but this is not a time to be like, I wish you would just lose 20 pounds. That wouldn't be fair. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about mental wellness. Again, another place where I'm going to ask that you be kind to each other. And what I want you to do within mental wellness is just think about how are you doing, right? So are you enjoying the different elements of your life? How is work going? For a lot of guardians, you are doing your dream job, right? You got into this work thinking it was going to be something that was really amazing and fulfilling. And now that you're in the middle of it, maybe it is exhausting you. Take a second to talk about that. Think about that. Take a moment to think about your energy. So when you wake up in the morning, do you feel ready for the day and energized? Do you feel exhausted, really low energy? As your day goes on, do you feel maybe anxious, kind of keyed up and high stress? How are you doing? This isn't, don't worry. Don't try to diagnose yourself and put mental health words on it. This is just a chance to think about how things are going. Again, the reason that I say that this is an area for kindness is sometimes one partner is feeling really frustrated because the other partner is struggling and has been for a long time. If that's the case, speak up about your frustrations, but be kind, okay? Number three, this is a hot button one for a lot of different couples, and that is finances, right? So if you fight about finances, don't worry, you are in the majority. Finances is complicated for a lot of relationships. And I want you to take some time to talk about it. Talk about what's going well, talk about what isn't. If this is the kind of thing you've been fighting about a lot, okay, write down the general topic of those fights. Okay, so do you not agree on what is the most important thing to spend on? Does one of you spend and the other one prefers to save? Write down what's going on. One thing within this is try not to kind of go into specific details, right? So don't start talking about the great target spend of 2017. That may not be helpful. What we want to do is we want to talk about the high level topics, not get into specific fights and situations, okay? Number four is your social life. How's your social life? Do you get out? Do you hang out with friends? Do you spend time with people around you? As life gets complicated, as our responsibilities grow, right? So we looked at your season. Depending on your season, you may have a lot going on, a lot of responsibilities. And a lot of times what can get squeezed out is our time with friends and our social life. So just take a second to talk about what's going well and what isn't. Then I want you to talk about having fun together. And these are different topics. So number four is social life. Number five is having fun together. Those may overlap, but they're also kind of separate. Do you laugh together? Do you enjoy doing activities together? Are there things, maybe think back to when you were dating, were there things you used to love to do together? Do you still do them now? Do you enjoy your time together? Okay, what's going well and what isn't? And this can be really simple stuff too, right? Laughing while you do the dishes together, that's totally great. Number five is communication. How's your communication going? Again, the goal is to, list out things that are going well and list out things that aren't. Communication is hard. It takes ongoing practice. As our seasons shift, right? So as different things change, maybe we've shifted to a different job, maybe we have little kids at home, our ability to talk to each other and have conversations can really get impacted. That's normal, and we have to figure out how it's going and figure out if there are things that we want to do differently, okay? Number seven is working as a team. So this kind of lines up with communication, right? A lot of these have overlap, but I want you to think about them separately as well. How do you do with that? How are you doing with things like unloading the dishwasher, household chores, responsibilities? Do you find yourself to be a strong partnership where you're able to work well, or do you find yourself fighting about these things? We all have different areas of partnership and teamwork that are working well together. So talk about what's going well and talk about what isn't, because this is a very good area that we may work on later. Okay. Number eight is also another big hot topic, right? Another big topic that lands a lot of people in the therapy office. Again, if that's you, it's fine. It's normal. This is a hard part of relationships, and that is sex and physical affection. So how happy and satisfied are you with your sex life? What is going really well? What isn't? Again, be kind. This is not a time to lay out your grievances and say, I thought it would be different when we were married. That may not be helpful. Be honest, but be kind. And when I say, let's talk about your sex life, I don't want this to just be about doing the deed, right? I want this to also include all physical affection. Do you hold hands, right? When is the last time you actually just hugged each other? When's the last time you kissed each other that wasn't just a quick peck on your way out the door? How does your entire physical relationship look? What's going well and what isn't? Again, kindness, but honesty, okay? And finally, trust. What does that word bring up when I say, how are we doing with trust in your relationship? If there is some big stuff going on, if there's infidelity or there's some major issues of breaches of trust, again, consider bringing in a third party to really help you work through this, because this can be super, super difficult stuff. But, outside of infidelity and all that stuff, there's other areas of trust. If one partner says they're going to do something, does the other partner trust that that's going to happen, right? Something as simple as like fixing the lock on the front door, or stopping by the grocery store. Can you count on and trust each other to do what you say? Do you feel confident that you're always getting the whole story? Do you feel like things are being held back? One thing that is so hard in guardian work, kind of like we talked about before when we talked about bricks, is if the guardian spouse doesn't want to talk about their day, that creates some disconnection, right? And that can really have an impact on our trust. Okay, those are the 9. As you can see, there is potentially some hot button topics of conversation here that could be long discussions. If that's the case, split this up. Maybe don't try to do it in one big session of talking about everything that's going well and isn't. That might be overwhelming. If you split it up, that's totally fine. Just make sure you come back and finish. Do not leave the closet with all the clothes unpacked, okay? Come back and we'll put them back. I promise that the last 3 videos will work through helping you do so, okay? Thanks.